Paul Scott isn't waiting for the next EV revolution. He's been leading his own quiet one for the past 8 years.
Well, it's just like any other car. You just turn the key and you're on.
It's on right now.
That's all there is to it, yeah.
He's one of the few hundred people who still own a Toyota RAV4 electric vehicle. He rescued it from an early grave in the last days of the first EV revolution. So this is a 2002, and it's hard to believe that this is a relic.
Yeah, this is, I know, I love showing the motor to everybody because it's so clean. I mean, you can see there's a little dust there, but this is a car with 84,000 miles on it, and there's no grease or oil or anything anywhere, just dust.
In that other EV revolution nearly a decade ago, the lack of compatible charging stations was a major reason cars like Paul's RAV4 EV and General Motors EV1 were unplugged by the automakers. But with the new EV revolution, all that has changed, and it's all because of this, the J1772. Now, I know that name probably bores you to tears, but in the EV world, it is cause for celebration. You see, for the first time ever, all automakers have agreed on a single plug to charge every electric car. And that's a big deal, because before the end of the year, the Chevy Volt and the Nissan Leaf will hit showrooms, and a slew of other EVs are scheduled to plug in the next year. Right now, there are fewer than 2,000 EVs on American roads. It's estimated that there will be more than 2 million in the next 5 years, and all will be using the same plug. And the number of those charging stations will also increase. In the days of the first EV revolution, there were 500 nationwide. In the San Francisco Bay Area alone, there will be more than 3,000 new charging stations installed before the year's end. Outside San Francisco City Hall, public charging stations are already in place to accommodate some of the EVs that are being test marketed here. And as we were talking with someone from the city's Office of Sustainability, a plug-in Prius, not yet on the market, pulled up and plugged in. Your colleague Lowell just came up, plugged in the car, walked away, and that's all? He didn't have any special training on how to plug in this car? Or?
Basically, you saw how easy it is. It's just a regular plug and you plug it in.
So he's not an electrician?
He happens to be an electrician, but you don't have to. You don't have to be an electrician. I'm not an electrician, and I was trained in about 2 minutes to be able to do this.
But it's going to take a lot longer than 2 minutes to be fully charged. Now, there will be 3 types of charging stations. The first, or level 1, will look a lot like the outlets you have in your house because they basically are. It's also called a trickle charge, and for good reason. If you have a 100-mile range battery like the one that's in the Nissan Leaf, it's going to take you 20 hours to charge your battery from depleted to full. Level 2, like this one right here, will be 220 volts. It will charge the same battery in 8 hours. These will be the ones that will be deployed in people's homes. The cost will be free to $2,000 depending on local incentives. These will also be deployed in shopping center parking lots throughout the country. But here's the good news. It most likely will be free to charge your car at those charging stations. Now, we would love to show you a level 3 charger, but they're not available yet. When they are, they will be 480 volts. You'll be able to charge that same battery in about 15 minutes. You will find these at dedicated charging stations, the EV version of a gas station. In Indianapolis, there's an ambitious plan to make it one of the most EV-friendly cities in the country.
There is sort of an EV renaissance taking place in the state of Indiana, and Indianapolis is right at the center of that.
You're really starting from ground zero.
We are, but at the same time, the electrical infrastructure is everywhere. We have outlets in every garage, we have outlets in every parking facility, at every building, so the ability to tap into the existing electric grid makes it an easier task to get charging infrastructure into the public realm.
Indianapolis officials say chargers are currently being installed for fleet vehicles. Next year, they will roll them out for homes and businesses. Now, having public charging stations where people work and shop is great for inside the city because the distances people drive is much shorter. But what about once you get outside of Indianapolis?
And he wasn't real happy.
We met Sally Smiley at a local diner. We asked her about the new crop of electric cars with the top battery range of about 100 miles that would need 20 hours to recharge from a home outlet. She doesn't think an EV would be a good fit for her.
Until they really have a better handle on these electric cars, I don't think I would buy one.
She lives in an area where the closest Walmart is 30 miles from her house, and her elderly mother lives 45 miles away.
I just don't know, because what if I had an emergency and I had to go an extra 20 miles or 30 miles, and it's an emergency? So I don't know that I would do that.
EVs are also going to be a challenge in New York City. That's where Marissa Chadell would love to replace her 2002 Subaru with an electric car, but doesn't see it happening. You see, Marissa, like 65% of drivers that live in Manhattan, parks her car on the street, sometimes several blocks from her home.
I know that there's no way I would be able to run a wire of any sort across 5 blocks of traffic and pedestrian walking, so I don't think that would be possible at all.
And that's why the City of New York is installing charging stations at many of the city's public garages and parking lots. We stopped by the city's first federally funded charging station. It's in Midtown Manhattan, and the owner is offering free charges until the end of the year. If EV sales do indeed get to 2 million in the next couple of years, it's important to put that into perspective. There are more than 250 million cars in this country, all with a lifespan of about 15 years.
It's a march. It will take a while to convert a significant part of the vehicle population over to electricity.
And while Sally Smiley says no thanks, and Marissa says no driveway, Paul Scott says his friends are lining up to get their hands on an EV.
You're not going to be alone on the EV world anymore.
And I'll be so happy when that happens. I've got so many of my friends have signed up for the Leaf, and a lot of them are waiting for the Volt as well. And they're just dying to get their hands on an electric car.
It's quiet.
Car doesn't make any noise.
Lee Patrick Sullivan, Energy Now.